Comedy Bronze is a fully grown adult, and I don't owe you anything, Dad! Gee!
Hello. Welcome.
Hello, and welcome to Comedy Bronze. I'm Chris, and this is
Hello.
Sean. Thank you for that second
Hello.
Okay. Well, he's broken, so while he reboots,
Hello.
there's just some bookkeeping we'd like to take care of this week before we start.
Hello.
I will turn him down in post, don't worry about
Hello.
it. How have you been this week,
Yeah,
Sean?
all right. Well, you saw me yesterday, so you know how I've been.
That's true, I did see you
I'm
yesterday.
better than last time we recorded because I no longer feel completely like shit. Just the ordinary amount of shit that everyone feels, I assume.
The phlegm monster has retreated from your sinuses?
Yeah, pretty much.
Rad pants. I'm bringing that back. Rad pants.
Rad pants, huh?
So, podcasting about the podcast.
Right.
So, it has been brought to my attention by some people we know
Uh-huh.
who have listened to our sterling efforts so far.
Is it Carl?
It's Carl. It's our mutual friend,
Hey,
Carl. Hi, Carl. How
hi,
you doing?
Carl. Happy birthday for the other day.
Yes, and happy Carl birthday. Sort of ripe old age of 71. Yeah, I mean, he's not long for this world, but I hope that the time he does have left will be, well, I would say pleasant, but, you know, not actively painful. They've got wonderful drugs now.
Morphine.
Wonderful, wonderful drugs. So it was raised to me by our friend Carl that we said some cryptic nonsense in a couple of the earlier episodes.
Did we?
We did. We actually make references to podcasts that don't exist, as far as anyone is aware. So I thought I'd just draw back the veil for a moment and explain how we got where we are and what the deal is.
Don't make it too boring, though. Short and sweet.
All right. Well, now I'm going to make it deliberately crap just to aggravate you.
Fantastic.
The long and the short of it is that we started this podcast in 2014, and we recorded 6 or 7 episodes that have never been hosted anywhere or made available.
Because we're lazy
And
and
in
ashamed
fact-
of ourselves.
Yeah, mostly because we're lazy,
A
and
little bit the shame.
also because we're lazy.
A little bit shame.
So the Skyrim episode, which is actually our premiere episode, was, I believe, the second to last of those. That was recorded in late 2014. And it was also the one which had the least to do with anything else, so we thought it would be a good opener. The 2014 retrospective was, as I said at the start of it, recorded in January. The other ones were recorded sometime before that, and we're going to be using them as sort of filling in gaps in the
You
schedule.
know, when we get really lazy and we just want to throw something out there.
Yeah, whenever, well, I was going to say, whenever we don't have time to record, we have this sort of backlog of Comedy Bronze classic, if you will. Comedy Bronze throwback with original Kane show that we can draw on. And so whenever one of those episodes is being used, I will put a disclaimer, an explanatory pamphlet, if you will, at the start, letting the audience know this is why the sound quality is better or worse.
Yeah.
And why we're talking about things that happened 18 months ago as though they were current.
Yeah.
And that's basically where we are with that. Now, Sean has some bold new scheduling ideas
Yeah. Interest.
that mainly revolve him being allowed to choose topics. So what have you got for us this week, Sean?
Yeah, okay. I was going to talk about... You know how we were talking last week about Blizzard a little bit?
Yeah, I do recall that.
I was going to talk a little bit about Heroes of the Storm this week. Mainly about their decision to... You remember Tychus from StarCraft 2?
Tychus Findlay,
Yeah.
yes, the man who was, I felt sure, spoilers, was not actually dead in the final cutscene of Wings of Liberty, but who turns out, yes, is actually dead.
And he was also most noticeably recognizable from the original trailer for StarCraft 2.
Oh yes, he was the Hell It's About Time Marine.
So in case you don't know, go and watch that trailer right now. And it's kind of a big deal that he has a cigar, right?
Here is your homework.
Yeah. It's kind of a big deal he has a cigar, okay?
Yeah, of course. The entire visual gag, which is that he's wearing a spacesuit and smoking a cigar inside it, obviously doesn't work if he doesn't have the cigar.
Yeah, they took his cigar out in Heroes of the Storm.
What?
Yeah. So...
I am outraged.
So StarCraft fans have known
Should we explain Heroes of the Storm?
No, I reckon everyone by now either knows or doesn't care about it. But I guess the brief rundown would be it's Blizzard MOBA.
Yeah, it's like League of Legends or Dota, but with Blizzard characters.
So,
in practice, what this means is there's 2 or 3 actually interesting characters and 6,000 people from the Warcraft universe that you don't care about.
And one of them would have been Tychus. Because he's
not from the Warcraft universe, but yes, he would have been.
No, he would have been one of the interesting characters. Because, he's from StarCraft and he's got a big fucking gun. So, yeah, apparently there's a skin where he's in his prisoner garb. So at the start of the trailer, you see him he's not wearing a shirt, he's just wearing orange pants and some manacles. Apparently, the original idea for the skin, which someone has data mined and found, he's got a cigar, but they've taken it out of every other version. And it's just...
So Tychus, as he exists in the game, he's a Marine, right? He has the suit and the chain gun?
Yes.
And he's wearing power armor and a chain gun, and his helmet is presumably open, and he's not smoking a cigar. Yep. This is a slightly baffling change, given that...
Well, I know it seems small, but it's part of his character. I mean, the first time you ever properly see this character, he's got a cigar. It's got that joke in it.
It would be like if they made a version of Cloud Strife without stupid hair.
Or if they made a version of that guy out of One Piece who also didn't have a cigar.
Oh. The smoke-powered guy.
Yeah, the guy whose entire power is smoking.
We could talk about the crimes of 4Kids productions at length.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. I just thought it was something weird that I found out this week that I thought some people would be interested in. Also, has
there been any statement from Blizzard like, we decided not to give him a cigar, or is it just a thing they did and now everyone's aboard?
Hang on, let me see. Some disaffected here. I'm reading this.
This is always the best part of the podcast, which is where someone looks things up.
Oh, it's because it's rated T for teen.
I was going to get to that.
Yeah.
So, wait, you're not allowed to depict someone smoking in a...
Apparently.
What, really? That's actually a
so
thing.
the game's ESRB page doesn't mention any references to tobacco or tobacco uses, or usage, both of which are official content descriptors used by the ESRB when rating games. So they may very well have to be doing that if they're not going to be adding in any tobacco-y themed things. I don't know how particular they are about smoking in ratings over there in America. I don't know how particular they are about here in Australia.
Oh, well, the ratings systems in every country are pretty much insane. I mean, this is a game where you can fire artillery barrages at people, but, enjoying a cigar, that's a separate content descriptor. Couldn't have that.
I'm allowed to burn people to death, but I can't smoke their corpses afterwards.
I'm allowed to wear an awesome bug hat, but I'm not not allowed to light up while I'm doing it.
Anyway, I thought that was a bit weird and interesting. Also, something that will very much appeal to you, Chris. They have announced that Ultra Street Fighter 4 will support PlayStation 3 fight sticks.
Hey! That's
so
good.
Sony has actually gone ahead and said that they're going to include the backwards compatibility drivers that were created by the Skullgirls developer Lab Zero.
Yeah, I was going to say, bloody, what are they called now? Lab Zero Games. Actually went to the trouble of... Okay, so for those of you not in the know, if you're not console gamers, this is the basic situation. The standard video game console controller has been set in stone for over 10 years now. 2 analog sticks, 4 face buttons, 4 triggers, a start and a select, and a D-pad somewhere. That's basically it. They have all been the fucking same. Yep. This has not stopped the manufacturers of game consoles from saying, you know what? Gotta buy it again. Your DualShocks from last time around, they don't work anymore. I have, right next to me, I have a DualShock 2 and a DualShock 3. And apart from the little touchpad thing that Sony stuck on the front of the DualShock 4, they are the same controller
pretty much.
In every way. So Sony actually remarkably did kind of a semi-sensible thing by saying that PlayStation 3 peripherals are not explicitly locked out from the PS4. They just didn't bother to put in the software to make it work.
But the thing is, they've obviously made it so that they can easily be popped in.
Well, I don't know about easily. They had to write their own USB drivers. I don't know how much of a pain that was. But Lab Zero, who actually give a shit because they make a fighting game, and it occasionally matters that fighting game players have access to the controller of choice, decided they would make it, and now looks like Capcom or whoever is actually making Ultra Street Fighter 4.
I think it's Capcom.
No, they licensed it out to a third company. I think it's Dibs. Might be
Someone
Dibs.
else called Dibs.
It's a one-syllable name with a lot of consonants in it.
Right.
Are actually taking advantage of it. That's kind of cool. This might set a precedent going forwards of letting people use the controller they want instead of the controller you force them to buy.
Yeah, I doubt Microsoft will have the same opinion.
Well, whatever. No one's buying Xbox Ones anyway, and they shouldn't.
Yeah. Something else from this week.
This is good. I like this new format where you throw a news item on my plate and I chew it once and then we can move on.
Shuei Yoshida, do you know who that is?
I do not.
Okay, so Shuei Yoshida is the president of Worldwide Studios, Sony Computer Entertainment.
Right, okay. Yep. What crime has he committed this
He hasn't committed a crime. He committed something that you will like. So he tweeted this week, a couple of days ago, so I've been asked by many people if we are making DLC for Bloodborne. I can say an expansion is coming. More info later this year.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, so
we could talk about
all you Bloodborne fans.
We can talk about Bloodborne.
We can talk about Bloodborne.
Talk about Bloodborne. You haven't finished it yet, though, so maybe we should table a full discussion of Bloodborne until after you've reached the end of the game.
I keep meaning to go back, but I never end up doing it.
Yeah, I'm on my third playthrough now, and I just have to say that axe they hand you at the start...
Easily the best weapon.
Easily the best weapon in the game. They always kind of do this. They fuck up and they put the best weapons somewhere, to the point where it makes everything else redundant.
Also, it's just so much fun to do that heavy attack spin with the axe.
Yeah, the untransformed version can actually be better depending on the situation.
Yes, that's true. And
pins them to the
even
ground.
the leap attack's pretty good.
It's all good. Yeah. Bloodborne is it's Dark Souls only more
yes. You should definitely, if you liked Dark Souls or you like really...
Oh, if you like Dark Souls, you've already bought and are playing Bloodborne. Yeah.
If you enjoy being challenged in a game, play Bloodborne or the Dark Souls series.
This kind of strange thing that always happens to me in those games. I have no strategy at all for beating the first boss in Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Every time I get to it, no matter what the playthrough, I just go, fuck it, and hit him a bunch and chug healing potions until he dies. Yeah. Every other boss I've evolved a strat for dealing with, but him, it just doesn't seem to matter, and or I can't be bothered.
Well, I mean, you and I talked about it when it first came out. The first boss, the Cleric Beast, and this isn't a spoiler because you fight him after about 30 minutes of the game, if that. Yep.
He's a terrible
boss. He's not interesting.
He's an
the second
boss,
boss is good. The second boss is interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first boss is just a real letdown. But the rest of the game isn't, so that's fine.
Thinking back to first bosses in the other one, the first boss in Demon's Souls is Phalanx.
Yes.
Who is really cool.
Yes.
Who is basically tons and tons of little slime creatures. They each have a shield and a spear. Mm-hmm. And they're protecting an energy core that you have to kill.
Right.
And so it's a fight against multiple opponents in a dark underground room that teaches you the value of throwing fire at things.
Yeah. So, I think the way you described it to me when you first started playing Demon's Souls was, imagine if, what was it? Legend of the Colossus? What's the Colossus game? What's the Colossus game? Shadow of the Colossus, that's the one.
Shadow of the
Just
Colossus?
imagine if Shadow of the Colossus had a less cinematic boss fight.
I never played Shadow of the Colossus, so I don't know if I would have used that as an example.
You've watched a whole bunch of stuff for it, though, haven't you?
Nope, I've never seen any video footage of Shadow of the Colossus or played it.
Well, who told me that then?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
You've confused me.
Well, that's Bloodborne. Everyone should go play that.
Yep, everyone should play Bloodborne. It's rad. We'll do a full review at a later date when Sean has reached the end.
And one other thing for this first segment. Google has patented creepy internet toys to run your home.
What do you mean by creepy internet toys?
Okay.
Do you mean a home automation interface that looks like a doll with no eyes?
No, it's got eyes, but the eyes are cameras.
What?
Okay, so let me just bring this up. Okay, so
Yes, please bring it up while I bring up my lunch.
Right. So the idea is that you'll have... basically, you can buy your kid a toy made by Google, which will connect to your home network, which will be able to allow the kid to control any smart devices that are hooked up to the same network.
Right.
So, say a TV or a sound system or a PC or a smartphone, something like that. So the idea is that like they could be in bed or they get up in the morning and the kid would be like, they'd say a command. There'd be a particular command that would activate the device, the bear or the bunny or whatever the fuck it ends up being. Like one of those creatures.
Google Ruxpin, he would be
one
called.
of those weird creatures out of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh yeah, way to appeal to the young crowd with your quoting of their cool video game, Sean.
I like that game.
We will definitely get the YouTube audience now.
I like that game.
Hashtag PewDiePie.
Oh, okay. PewDiePie. I hate that guy. I said it.
Oh, what an unpopular opinion.
Yeah. Well, it is, because he's
Actually,
like the most popular YouTuber ever.
I actually watched one of his videos once, and I just immediately turned it off as soon as he spoke.
I'm sure.
So, more power to the man. He's clearly making a fuck ton of money.
Yeah, he knows how to market. This has quickly become less about Google and more about PewDiePie.
Yeah, whatever. Let's rag on people who are more successful than us. You know who I hate? Bill Gates.
Well, no, I was just going to say that. I mean, I would assume that that's just his persona on YouTube. I don't think he would be like that in real life. But
well, yeah, like you remember Fred?
Fred,
the YouTube personality. Hey guys,
oh
it's Fred.
yeah, that
guy,
douche.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no. He obviously didn't talk like that in real life, because no one could maintain that level of shrillness and energy without dying.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But yeah, I assume that there's loads of people who are like that on YouTube. It's just like an ordinary actor. It's just something that you do.
Nah, man, they're all phonies.
They're all phonies. Okay.
YouTube's all about phonies.
Anyway, so back to the Google patented thing. So basically, you say the trigger word, wakes them up, and it turns their gaze toward... This is a quote. Turns their gaze towards the person addressing them and would be able to check if the person talking was making eye contact.
Oh my God.
The document also suggests the device could respond by speaking back and expressing, and I quote, human-like expressions of interest, curiosity, boredom, and or surprise.
You know what? I was skeptical when you said Google had patented creepy internet toys, but you're not wrong. That is an accurate descriptor.
To express curiosity, it may tilt its head, furrow its brow, and or scratch its head with an arm.
This is almost as bad as that time Microsoft patented a technology that would use Kinect to make sure that you were watching commercials.
Oh my God.
And refused to proceed with your media until you had viewed the commercial. So
it's a little bit like the Super Toy Teddy from AI. Do you remember the Super Toy Teddy?
I remember... No, I haven't seen AI. I've read Super Toys Play All Summer Long, which is the short story in which it is based.
Oh, okay. It's creepy.
Yeah.
It's super fucking creepy. But yeah, so you guys should totally go and look up the documents are all online. You can go and find them really easy. Just type in Google creepy doll and you'll get it. It's so fucking weird. They even the drawing for the bunny they've got looks...
I love patent application drawings. They are always
like you can clearly tell it's made by an engineer.
Yeah. No, they all seem to share this same artistic style. I think because they're restricted to black and white, they're not allowed to use colours.
Yeah, well, it's definitely black and white. Yeah, the bear looks normal. It's the bunny that stares with this sort of dead-eyed gaze directly into... Oh, shit, I'm moving around. The eyes follow you around the screen.
Get out, Sean.
All right.
The call is coming from inside the bunny.
Yeah, the call's coming from inside the bunny. And, yeah, I'm going to fucking run away now. So I think that's it for now.
All right, so we'll be right back after
once I've killed this bunny.
Hi, I'm Senator Trant Bilgeclam. In the coming days, you're going to hear some things about me. Things I've said and done that, in hindsight, were regrettable, maybe even criminal. On the advice of my PR man, Joe Gravelsby, who asked to remain nameless, I've decided to get out in front of this thing and unburden my soul to the American public. Yes, I have been having an affair with one of my secretaries. No, not that one. The hot one. I unironically enjoy the music of Swedish dance sensation Aqua. Yes, especially the song you're thinking of. I did refer to Ellie Wiesel as a but in my defense, he was being a total Promises I made to my electorate with regards to Agricultural Bill 39A were regrettably not possible to achieve in this climate of partisan backbite. I take election promises very seriously. I want to let you know that I deeply regret this failing on my part. Finally, on my recent visit to Vietnam, I did saw the head off Ho Chi Minh's preserved body and used it to smoke ground-up blood diamonds on the steps of the American Embassy with a visible erection. But I did not inhale. This was a great idea.
Paid for but strenuously objected to by the Elect Bilge Clan Committee. And we're back. Wasn't that a fine commercial or sketch?
Yes, it definitely was. Or it wasn't. Maybe I hated it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it was crap.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to be mine. I'm just going to really half-ass it this week, so it's really obvious that we're thinking about that. So, something we touched on last time around, the New 52 was a thing that DC did a number of years ago.
Yep.
Where they decided, you know what would be really great? I say a number. This was in 2011.
It was in 2011.
4 years ago at this
point.
point.
Yeah.
Where they said, we're going to not reboot. Stop. No, it's a relaunch. Everybody stop saying reboot. Stop writing. Listen, everyone. Not a reboot. What we're doing is...
Don't go away. Come back.
Oh, they've left. What we want to do is we want to attract new readers.
Younger readers. Hipper readers.
Yeah, the cool young people with their selfie sticks and their smart cabbages.
Yep.
Because no one reads our comics anymore because we're DC and we've forgotten how to make comics.
Mm-hmm.
And so they released 52 entirely new things.
Yep.
And at the time, I decided, because I don't really read DC superhero comics because there's entirely too much history and it's difficult to find a jumping on point.
And there's shitloads of them.
Yeah, and there are shitloads of them. So I thought, being a naive young whippersnapper, this is a good opportunity to start caring about DC, so I bought all 52 of the #1 issues.
I actually just remembered something about this.
What?
Do you remember, like, 6 months before it started, I actually said to you and Carl, wouldn't it be great if this existed?
No, I don't remember
And then
that.
Carl called me, like, a week or so later and says, "You are psychic!"
Well, there you go. Sean is psychic. He predicted the 52 before it happened.
I'm sure lots of people did, but it was weird. It was creepy.
I'm double psychic because I predicted it would suck before it would happen.
I didn't predict it would suck. I predicted that I would not enjoy a lot of it.
So, this is going to be the first part of a new massively self-indulgent feature, unlike all our previous massively self-indulgent feature, where every week or two, or whenever we're bored, we're just going to go through the list of New 52 comics.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about what we thought of them at the beginning,
Yep.
how long we bothered to keep reading them, and how they eventually ended up.
Yep.
And we're going to do this for all 52 of them. And you can all just sit there and listen.
Yep. So we're starting out with, at the top of the list, going to go alphabetically, Action Comics Issue 1.
I really liked Action Comics Issue 1. From memory, it was written by Mr. Grant Morrison.
Yep.
Who has made several amazing comics and several really terrible ones as well.
Yeah. More amazing than terrible.
Yeah, The Invisibles is hugely enjoyable. The Filth, the kind of thematic sequel to it, is kind of awful.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I feel like the Filth is really a comic that was written for Grant Morrison by Grant Morrison, and the rest of us were just kind of along for the ride.
It's a love note to himself?
Yeah, he didn't really care if we liked it. That's okay. I mean, Frank Miller hasn't cared if anyone likes his work in almost 15 years.
I think Frank Miller doesn't even like his work.
But Action Comics #1. So, the Action Comics #1, I think, is one of the comics that really succeeded in the we're restarting the universe deal. Because it starts on a Superman who hasn't even discovered he can fly yet, I don't think.
Well, he can't fly. That's the thing. They go back to
he can't fly. He's actually pre-flight.
They go back to the original power set that Superman has, where he couldn't fly, but he could jump 1/8 of a mile.
That is quite a distance.
It's a couple hundred meters.
And he immediately, thinking back.
Yeah, so
this is a lot of this is going to be. Did that happen? I can't remember.
So he's fresh out of high school. He's just gotten to Metropolis. He's just gotten I think he's an intern at the. He's not a reporter yet.
At the Daily Planet.
Yeah, he's not a reporter yet.
Role of some kind. He's like a sub Jimmy Olsen level.
Yeah.
Employee.
And he's still strong and all that sort of stuff, but he's not as strong as sort of like pre-crisis Superman who could basically punch God in the face.
And they set up in the first issue that his nemesis is a local crime lord.
Yes.
Who he visits on his balcony in declares war on and yells justice and stuff, which I think was an interesting move because rather than immediately positioning him as only fighting against cosmic entities that want to destroy the Earth,
Yep.
like, everyone has to start somewhere, so supermarket, yes, the superhero supermarket starts out shaking down drug dealers, and it was kind of interesting. Rags Morales did really good art on the issue.
We were talking about this
we were.
as well.
We mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, a week ago. The time that it flies. All in all, I kept up with Action Comics, I think, through to the end of Morrison's run.
Which was the first 6 issues, I think.
Yeah, after that it kind of fell apart a bit, as most things that DC is allowed to touch tend to.
That was pretty much the whole of the 52. You'll find that was the recurring thing. After the 6th issue, artists and writers either got the boot or just left. And
yeah, that was basically it. They couldn't figure out how to maintain quality across changing creative teams.
Yeah, that, and there was some writers and artists still working on multiples of the 52.
Yeah,
like,
and some of those suffered. Scott Lobdell was on a bunch of them.
Yeah, Snyder.
Yeah, Snyder was on a few. His were all good, I think.
Snyder was working on, I think, at the end of the next wave, he ends up working on like 6 or 8 of them.
Holy crap, that's a lot of Snyders.
Yeah, he's got his fingers in all the pies. So yeah. All-Star
Action Comics.
Action Comics was good.
A review 4 years late, yay or nay?
Yeah, it was yay, definitely.
Yeah, all right.
Those first 6 issues, loved them.
All right. All-Star Western.
All-Star Western. Look, Jonah Hex is kind of a cool character, but he keeps getting fucked over. Like, see Hollywood film from several years ago.
Oh, that's right. They did make a Jonah Hex movie.
Yeah.
Jonah Hex, for those of you who don't know, is a cowboy with half his face missing who shoots bad guys. And he's very nice.
And depending on who's writing it, he may or may not have superpowers.
I'm not sure.
Like, sometimes he's like part ghost or something like that. It's really weird and very inconsistent. They can't really make up their minds about whether they want him to be just an ordinary cowboy or a super cowboy.
Doesn't he have a robot horse in the Brave and the Bold TV series?
I don't know, to be honest.
All-Star Western I have a soft spot for, because
it was different.
Yeah, it was different. The first few issues are basically like this buddy cop story, kind of, with Jonah Hex and Amadeus Arkham, who was a psychologist of some kind who would later go on to found Arkham Asylum, where all Batman's villains get ineffectually locked up at. And they're basically going on an adventure where Jonah Hex is like, I'm gruff and I shoot people, and Arkham is all like recording his journals of the events in ridiculous purple prose about the terrible people they're meeting and the unrestrained violence Jonah Hex meets out to them.
And the terrible smells.
He complains about the smells and the dirt.
And
it was different. And I dug it mostly. Again, I think falls apart after the first arc because
I think it falls apart after about issue 3.
Well, whenever they write Arkham out,
is
when it definitively breaks, because I don't understand why they do this. I think, as a company, DC fails to understand why their products are working, and so then they change things.
Chris, you're going to have to keep talking. I have to go do something for 1 second.
That's fine. Oh, dude, I can keep talking for hours. So neither Jonah Hex nor Amadeus Arkham are necessarily that interesting in and of themselves. Most characters in fiction... Oh, God, Sean. Ignore that man yelling about ovens in the background. Most characters in fiction aren't really interesting to carry a story by themselves, which is why, unsurprisingly, most stories aren't one person sitting in a room talking to the walls. So when you have 2 characters who aren't that amazing, but who have a really great dynamic and create engaging stories by virtue of being near each other, and then you tell 5 or 6 issues or however much of that story they did, and it was, it was pretty good. It was going places. It had room for improvement, but I could definitely see that going on for years and maybe being a classic run of the comic. But you just go, I mean DC Comics just goes, you know what? Nah, bugger it. Let's make a grim and gritty cowboy story with just Jonah Hex by himself, and that's just the whole thing falls over. They don't know how to maintain quality. They don't know how to recognize what's working and nurture it rather than just crapping on it.
Oh, yeah, definitely do that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Sean's back. Jesus. That one was long. So, in the end, All-Star Western, initial promise, but squandered by managerial ineptitude.
Yeah. This will be the theme of pretty much the whole 52. Great promise, big letdown after 3 to 6 issues. All-Star Western?
No, hang on. Just to divert for a second.
Okay. Yeah.
In a way, like they're actually making progress in changing the thing up every 6 to 10 issues, because rather than just keeping the story going for 6 years with no change in direction, they were sort of aiming at shorter segments that could be more easily digested by people, and also the New 52 was very specifically aimed at selling trades. Like, every arc of every comic was immediately collected and sold in a trade paperback format.
Yeah.
The problem was, the second volumes of all those series are shit.
Yeah, so they either should discount them or just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Alright, Animal Man.
Well, what did you think of All Star Western? Was it yay or nay?
Oh, I gave it a yay. You weren't here, I forgot.
And the same for me for the first 6 issues. Animal Man. I'd never read Animal Man before. I only knew that he had animal powers.
All I knew about Animal Man is that Grant Morrison did a run on Animal Man where he eventually began speaking to his creator, and it got very meta in the way that Grant Morrison projects tend to. And
once again, love letter to himself.
Yep. Well, no, this one was more a love letter to comics and stories. The Filth, I think, is specifically a love letter to himself.
Oh, okay.
But it's basically what is it called? It's kind of Cthulhu-y. Cthulhu
It is a little bit.
Mythosy, a little bit.
It's very interesting art. Like very different art from the rest of the 52. It's very
yeah. Oh, some background. What's his name? Buddy Baker. Is that Animal Man?
Oh yeah. Buddy Baker.
Basically, he was a minor superhero who could he turn into animals, or could he get powers from animals?
He channels.
Powers. Like the aspects of various animals, so he can get speed or flight or super strength or water breathing.
Speed of the cheetah or
all that stuff.
Dong of the whale. That
and he had the weird metafictional run with Morrison, but in this one he's kind of like a recovering B-list celebrity at the start of Animal Man 1.
Yeah, so it's a superhero comic that isn't a superhero comic.
Yes, no, he doesn't really perform any superhero heroics. It's mostly about trying to save his family and innocent bystanders from these primal forces of death. And
that's because from the end of issue 1, they start building up to this crossover with Swamp Thing and one other. Is it the man who keeps dying? What's his name?
Oh, Resurrection Man.
Resurrection Man. I think it's like they do a weird. No, it's not him.
No, it's not.
It's someone else.
Anyway,
with the Swamp Thing.
I kept at Animal Man. I kept buying it and reading it, basically out of waiting for a payoff that would live up to its alleged legacy. Lineage. But it never really got there for me. It was a kind of a horror of the week sort of comic where some big bad monster would show up, and I don't know. It was not that interesting.
I liked it.
Okay, well, talk about what you liked about it.
I liked that it was more of a horror comic. And apparently I found out I like horror comics. There is some, like I talked about,
sensation.
I talked about the art in it, and it's very odd. There's some bits where he starts going up against some creatures which basically reanimate pieces of flesh and then stick them all together to form some sort of body, but it doesn't look like a proper body. It's just basically eyes and a brain walking around on a set of tentacles, all held together with string. And it's really gross, and like the artist gets that across quite well. I can't remember who the artist is. Hang on, let me look. His name, or her name, was Travel Foreman. Travel Foreman and Dan Green worked on that, and they did some. Yeah, it was really cool. It was odd and disgusting, and I kind of liked the story. Like the idea is that he's been a champion of the living creatures of this world for a long time, but he finds out that he's actually an avatar of something much older that's been around for a long time, and that's how he ends up crossing over with Swamp Thing, who's also an avatar, but of rather than creatures, he's the avatar of organic matter, so all plants around the place.
I kind of have to applaud that entire plot, because it was basically a thing of really big importance that could only be handled by a few characters within the DC universe, so the crossover was kind of limited and sensible rather than just involving Batman and Superman, because they are also there.
Yeah, it's a problem that Batman and Superman couldn't solve.
Yeah. In the final category, though, I'm going to say Animal Man, initial promise, but no, I didn't really care for it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I liked it. It wasn't my favorite New 52 title, but it was in probably the top 10.
All right, Aquaman.
They straight away, it's a yay for me for the first 6 issues of Aquaman. They did something that, once again, we talked about how this was a jumping on point for a lot of people, and it was jumping on point for us as well. I'd never read Aquaman before. I knew about his powers. I knew about a little bit about his backstory, but I'd never read any. This was a great jumping on point. From the very beginning, they owned everything that everyone had ever made fun of Aquaman for.
Yeah, there is, in fact, I think he's being interviewed by a newspaper reporter or a TV reporter, and they say, Aquaman, what does it feel like to be no one's favourite superhero?
And there's also another bit where, I think 2 police... He saves 2 police officers, and they're like, hey, thanks, Aquaman. Wait, don't you need water to breathe?
Yeah, funnily enough, that early embracing of how lame Aquaman is traditionally considered was, I think, the greatest problem with the series as it went forward. Because after that initial, self-awareness and humor, it immediately goes into this grim and gritty storyline about him going and murdering Black Manta.
Yeah, that was after issue 6.
It's just this complete tonal mismatch between let's be honest, Aquaman looks kind of silly. He's this guy in a big gold armor with a trident, and he talks.
Admittedly, the Jason Momoa version of Aquaman doesn't.
And he
look that
talks
silly.
to fish.
Yeah,
and it looked like they were going with a less serious tone, kind of again the Brave and the Bold cartoon version of Aquaman. Who's just this giant ham, who's so much fun. And look,
you came out of the phone.
Do it again.
Do it again.
It looked like they were going to go with that, but once again, no, we're DC. There's no fun.
Yeah.
Everything must be grim and dark, and so Aquaman has to go kill someone.
Yeah, they did that with the Captain Marvel stuff in the New 52, which wasn't even a proper comic. It was just shit at the end of other comics.
Oh, I forgot about that. It's on the end of DC Presents, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
he's got his own trade now. For that collects all those pieces.
Billy Batson
but they
was
weren't...
like this belligerent, troubled teen who went around starting fires.
yeah, pretty much.
Oh my
and then he gets the superpowers. He gets the superpowers, and what does he do first? He decides to rip an ATM out of a wall so he can have some money.
No, you don't understand, Sean. It's more realistic. It's more gritty. It's more grounded.
Look. We all know that I love Captain Marvel.
What we really want to see is a cartoon where Captain Marvel asks Superman if he bleeds.
Well, no, I saw the cartoon that I kind of want the film to be in 2 years' time, which is Superman and Captain Marvel First Thunder.
Oh, that little short that's on one of the
the 15-minute short. That's great because it's just like he gets the shit beaten out of him by Black Adam, and then he decides, you know what, fuck it. I'm not gonna get beaten up anymore because he gets beaten up when he's Billy Batson. He gets beaten up when he's Captain Marvel. He's like, fuck it, I'm gonna finally stand up for myself, and he wrecks Black Adam's shit. And then he's standing, holding Black Adam off the ground, choking the life out of him. And Superman's just like, no, don't kill.
Stay good, Billy. Stay good.
Stay gold, pony boy. And I want that. That's all they need to do with the film. That would be great. Watching some other big dude beat the shit out of Dwayne Johnson.
A Captain Marvel film?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the Rock is Black Adam.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna own the screen. So they have to cast whoever they're casting as Captain Marvel. I'm not sure yet. I could probably look it up. But whoever they're casting as Captain Marvel, they need to have him be the same size as The Rock. Because if he's smaller than The Rock, it's going to look stupid.
Yes, agreed. Strongly agreed. So anyway, Aquaman number
back
1.
To Aquaman. First 6 issues, definite yay. After that, not in my top 10, definite yay though. But after issue 6, it just like the flashbacks to where he's like a weird hippie, and he's got long hair, and it's really weird. And there's all this weird shit about like his current wife getting all up in arms about him boning some chick 30 years ago, whenever it's set.
Wife? Mira has been his wife forever.
No.
Queen of the Aqua Sea.
There's a bit where like they have the flashbacks, and he's like, "Yeah, I was hooking up with this other chick when this collection of heroes that I was hanging out with. I was like, well, you've never told me about this before. This was before you and I even met. And she gets all butthurt about it, and it's not cool. It's dumb. But yeah, I don't think we've got time to do any more.
Hang on. Well, the next 4 in the list are all Batman titles. So
Okay.
to protect us from that, I just want to skip ahead and just do one from much later in the list, and then we'll
Okay.
call it
What are you doing?
Let's go with. Hang on, I'm trying to pick one that's really bad. Oh yeah, Hawk and Dove. Hawk and Dove is number
1. It is bad. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Was that the Liefeld
That's
one?
the Liefeld one. So Hawk and Dove was drawn
fuck you,
by
Liefeld.
comic artist extraordinaire Rob Liefeld.
Go die,
It
Liefeld.
featured such
Just die.
extraordinary artistic accomplishments as the interior of an airplane whose size changed constantly from panel to
Yep.
panel, and whose controls switched from a traditional airplane steering column to a joystick to a steering wheel, and then back to a steering column as the comic went on.
I just remembered what we did when that first issue came out. Remember how we all signed each other's copies?
No, I have a copy of because we went to All Star Comics. I think it was their
All-Star...
Comics in
All-Star
Melbourne. I think it was
Comics.
their Christmas party actually, and I bought
Yeah.
a copy of Hawk and Dove issue 1. I got everyone there to sign it. So I have a copy of Hawk and Dove signed by a bunch of random people. And my goal is to take that, find Rob Liefeld, get him to sign it, and then have it framed. Then I'll have the best possible edition of Hawk and Dove number 1.
Okay. If you live in Australia, go to All-Star Comics.
Yes,
But
All Star
Hawk and
Comics
Dove
Melbourne, for Queen Street, near the Flinders.
Yep. Hawk and Dove's crap. Don't read it. Don't.
I don't
and
think at
Liefeld
this
should
point
go
we need
die.
to warn anyone not to read Hawk and Dove. That ship has sailed.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't read it. All right. We'll be back in a minute.
Honk.
Coming this summer, the story of one man's struggle to make love to his clone in public. I love myself, and I don't care who knows it.
Mr. Cruz, one more outburst and I will hold you in contempt.
Oh, Tom, maybe we should give up on this dream of boning each other silly in a water park. This is America, damn it! I should be allowed to make love to myself anywhere I want. This summer, Tom Cruise is all on his clonesome.
And we're back.
We are back.
A little bit of a break in real time between the last one and this one. Sean had to go assault a pie. Is that correct?
No, I didn't actually. I had to go help my missus with some washing. My pie is still in the oven.
It's not as exciting. All right. Well, big news this week or last week or whenever. The Witcher 3: Wild Hunt came out.
Yeah. And
Which is a real big piece of news. It's been a number of years in development.
2013 it was announced.
Yeah, it's been grinding along for a while. We're both big fans of the Witcher games, aren't we, Sean?
Oh, hell yeah. And the books.
Yes. And the books, which are, the English translations have been spotty in availability, but they're actually quite high in quality.
Yeah.
I was really a fan
They
of
don't read like fanfic at all.
No, they don't. Why would they?
No.
For the uninitiated, the first Witcher game is the story of Geralt Rivero.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Witcher, which means he vanquishes the forces of evil through the use of erotic playing cards.
Yes.
And I have to say, the combat system in that one was really innovative for its time, and I hadn't seen anything like it before or since. Sean, you got more into it, into the mechanics of the game than I did.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you can enlighten us about that.
Well, for the average end user, you just had your keyboard and mouse. But for some of the people who had a little bit of money to...
No! No! We're not doing this! No!
You sure?
Yes, I'm absolutely sure.
Okay.
I said erotic playing cards, not teledildonics, you monster.
I wasn't going to say that.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say ports.
Do you want to continue this charade, or just want to admit we'd never played a Witcher game?
No, I actually played The Witcher 2.
Oh, well, okay. We're not going to talk about the real Witcher.
No, we don't know anything about The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Well,
Right,
actually,
hang
no.
on.
I've heard a couple of things about it. But yeah, no. So I've got a bunch of friends, like Dave at work. He was really excited for it, and a couple other people I know as well. They've been really, really excited for it. Apparently, it's been a little bit of a letdown, especially the PC version.
Oh, yes. Tell us more about how games are being... Oh, wait, this is actually a segue we can do.
Yeah.
Oh, Sean, you're a genius.
I am, actually, yeah.
Now I've ruined it by pointing it out.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, tell me about the shortcomings of the PC port.
Well,
and I say port with malice aforethought because, as we all know, games are now designed for consoles first, and then just sort of awkwardly dripped into a PC.
Yeah. Well, first things first, the demo video and pictures that were shown back in February 2013 are vastly different to what was shown, what the game actually was. But I mean, that, all things aside, I mean, that things...
That's not really surprising. I mean, most things change drastically.
Games change.
If you spend 2 years working on them.
Games change, but it didn't look anywhere near as nice, was what the big problem was. It wasn't necessarily that the gameplay was different. It was more the fact that it doesn't look anywhere near as good. Which made no sense, really, because none of the stuff was pre-rendered, and it was all apparently in-engine.
Yeah, but in-engine, this is an important distinction, and sorry for the people who have not yet listened to the Phantom podcast we haven't released yet, but there's a distinction worth making between in-engine and in-engine real-time.
Yeah.
Because if you reduce the frame rate to 2 frames a second and then speed up the video, you can get away with a lot more than you can in an actual 60 frames per second game.
That's very true.
Yeah.
But apparently, yeah, that's been a huge letdown. I watched a video actually earlier today of the comparison between the PS4 and the PC. And while there's no hugely noticeable differences, you can very easily see that it is just a port. And while it may be able to run up to 60 frames a second on a PC, there's no, as far as I know, there's no noticeable graphical differences. There's nothing. It's not designed with PC in mind. Again.
Well, that's troubling because the series has been, up until this point, a PC series. That's where it was first released. That's where its home has always been. I don't care much about graphics compared to other people. Ooh, doorbell's ringing. But for people who have invested lots of money in their computer, I'm sure they are disappointed the game doesn't look snazzier. I'm sorry for them. I have greater problems in ports with design decisions that make sense on consoles, like Skyrim's terrible menu system.
Well, apparently the menu system in this is not any good either.
So it's also suffering from console menuitis.
Well, it's not even. It's bad on consoles as well. The menu design is, from what I've read and what I've seen...
This is the driest game critique ever. So, in this high fantasy story of swords and sorcery and stabbing, what do you think of the menus?
Well, apparently you can barely read anything in that game. Apparently the text size on menus is
that's really
tiny.
Worrying.
Tiny.
That happened a lot in the early days of HD, just when the Xbox 360 and PS3 had just come out, and not everyone had an HD television, but they decided they would size text as though you did have an HD TV, and no one could read it.
But this is like they're expecting everyone to have a 4K monitor or a 4K TV.
Do you think maybe it's just developers? I don't know. Is it Project Red?
Yes, CD Projekt Red.
CD Projekt Red. Is this their first foray into consoles? Do you think maybe they've flubbed it a little bit?
Well, did they... Witcher 2 was on consoles, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah. Well,
Genuine question. Okay.
Let's double check. Witcher 2.
Yeah. I mean, other disappointing PC ports in recent history, Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 both have fairly rubbish PC ports.
Although the reissue of Dark Souls 2, the Scholar of First Sin...
Yeah, well, I mean, I've complained previously about the durability glitch that they waited like a year and a paid-for expansion pack before they fixed. Pretty shitty.
Witcher 2 was on the 360, not on the PS3, just the 360.
Just the 360, okay. So they have done a console game before.
Yeah.
Although they might have farmed it out to a third party for the
port
job.
Yeah. Because it obviously would have been a port from PC to console. Whereas this one, I don't know, did they design it simultaneously on all three, or would it have just been a port?
I think the way you do it is, said Chris, with no actual insider knowledge, is you design it for the console first, because consoles have a specific hardware configuration that you can target. So
Yeah,
can
that's
know,
true.
You can know for certain whether it will run on that. And most high-end PCs have far higher specs than consoles.
Yeah.
So you just go, whatever. And just sort of
So you use your console as your
awkwardly
baseline.
throw it. Yeah. Yeah, use the console as the base, and also because I think that's the bigger market. He said, not entirely certain.
For The Witcher, probably not.
Yeah, which makes it a little... Okay, yeah, right. Which in this case makes it a little baffling. Why they would devote so much effort.
It's really odd.
Hey, it could be worse. It could be a Ubisoft game.
That's true. It could have been Assassin's Creed, and I saw the trailer for the new Assassin's Creed. Did you see that?
No, I don't watch game trailers.
Oh, okay.
A lot of
That's a lie. I know you do.
a lot of our previous unreleased podcasts, which I promise I'll stop bringing up just as soon as they stop being relevant, consist of Sean saying, "Have you seen this trailer?" and me saying no.
He does actually watch trailers. He's a complete liar. He usually watches them after I force him to.
Yeah, so I don't seek out trailers.
No,
You just say,
I seek out trailers.
"Christopher, look at this trailer for Dumb and Dumberer."
Yes.
And I say, "All right, Sean, I will."
But yeah, there was a trailer for the new Assassin's Creed game, which I assume once again will be out in October.
Is this Assassin's Creed Rogue? Is that the new one?
Nah, is it Rogue or is it something else?
I don't know. Is it the French Revolution yet?
That was Unity. That's the one they just.
That's right. That was the one that sucked.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed. No, it's Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Syndicate. Wait, they're bringing back the Syndicate brand? They're doing a cyberpunk future version of Assassin's Creed?
No, it's not. Well, it's
That would actually be awesome.
It's not that.
I don't care. I'm pretending it is.
It's-
This is my new headcanon. Yeah,
It's-
so the Assassins are just another corporation now, contracting out their members to do like Black Ops jobs to steal technology and shit from each other.
Yeah, it's not that. It's
And instead of having like the wrist dagger, you've got like a deck, like a cyber deck under your robes, and you shoot out like the port, like R2-D2's little connector thingy,
right.
and you're like jacking in, and then you assassinate a mainframe. The end.
Okay, so it's not that. For those of you who
Why
like,
won't you come with me on this speculative journey?
for those of you who like real information, and rather than the ramblings of a one man mental,
You
the
wouldn't
plot
say that to me if I had my pills.
the plot of this one is it's like late 1800s, so the tail end of the Industrial Revolution. So they've already missed a great opportunity they could have just had it as fucking Jack the Ripper. But they've
Do you
gone.
mean had it as Jack the Ripper? You're Jack the Ripper?
You're Jack the Ripper, and all those prostitutes
We're Templar agents.
Yeah, that's already better than what they will do. That's already a better idea.
Oh my
and
God.
I've come up with that in my head in 30 seconds, and it's already better than the shit that they will peddle us in October this year.
Okay, what is the actual premise?
The actual premise is, and I'm just reading this straight off the Wikipedia page, in 1868, at the tail end of the Industrial Revolution, with the Assassin Brotherhood all but eradicated, twins Jacob, Paul Amos, and Evie Frey, Jennifer Hale,
Hang on, Jacob, that's almost Jack. You might not be far off.
leave Crawley for London and arrive to find a city controlled by the Templars, with both the Church and the monarchy losing their power. Raised as assassins to follow the creed, Jacob and Evie aim to take back the city from the Templar control by infiltrating and uniting London's criminal underworld, aided by notable figures of the era such as the novelist Charles Dickens and biologist Charles Darwin.
Oh, no. Wait, they always do this, though, don't they? You meet
Yep.
Da Vinci in
Yeah,
one
meet
of
Da
the
Vinci,
Italian
yeah.
ones.
Ezio's ones, yeah. Da Vinci's in it. Yeah.
You meet, like, every figure in the American Revolution during
Or kill them.
Assassin's Creed 3.
Yeah. So,
You know what? I actually don't mind that. I think if the series had just stuck to being a whistle-stop tour of historical bullshit, it probably would have gotten along a lot better rather than its numerous diversions into nonsense.
well, I mean, for a while there, everyone got really diverted by Ezio. He's the one who got 3 games all to himself. And
Was he even that interesting?
no, he wasn't that interesting. And
Oh.
I mean, it's I don't know why they ended up doing that. Like the three. Look, the most interesting game so far has been Black Flag, where you literally get to be a pirate and you have a pirate ship. That's all. And he's not even a real assassin. He steals the assassin's clothes from someone and pretends to be an assassin for the first third of the game. He's just like, yeah, I'm an assassin.
And then he gets inducted into the Assassins for being double assassin.
No. They try to induct him, and he's like, just like, no, fuck you. I'm a pirate. I do what the fuck I want. Your goals and mine are lining up at the moment because I want that treasure. I'm not an assassin. I'm just wearing the clothes. I'm going to go off and murder people with swords now instead of your silly wrist knives.
For a game with Creed in the title, has the Assassin's Creed ever actually been enumerated?
It's in the first one. It's just like it's supposed to be, all that noble bullshit about letting man choose their own future or some shit like that. I don't even care.
And then
it's
stabbing them.
It's not about that at all. It's not about that at all.
Extremely high-minded for an organization that call themselves the Assassins.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. What should have been from the very beginning was a group that weren't called the Assassins or were called the Assassins, and they've been manipulated.
Yes, those are the two possible options.
And have been used to manipulate plots around the world. And they either decide to the plot of the first game and the continuing games should be you aiding these people, and then either deciding halfway through the game whether or not you're going to continue doing that and then break away from the assassin tradition, or assassins completely break away and decide, you know what, we've been fucking organizing coups and all this shit for generations. We're going to finally do this. So they go around and they get you to kill all the people who are in power at the moment who are trying to contract the assassins, and instead you guys take over, put in your own people into power, and then you manipulate everything.
Yeah, no, but hang on. That's the plot of the games. You've just described the plot of the games. The games are about this centuries-spanning war between the Templars and the Assassins over who gets to be Majestic 12, basically. Who gets to be the New World Order.
Yeah, but they don't do it very interestingly. That's all it is. They just needed to do it in a better way.
I don't like this. Make it better.
Oh, shut up. You're the king of I don't like this. I make it better.
No, I always have very specific concerns that I want addressed.
Yeah, and it's
because I'm a pedant as well as being someone who's hard to satisfy.
And it is literally boiled down to I don't like this. Make it better in these ways.
Yeah, I don't like the Assassin's Creed games.
Look,
I like 7 in at this point. There's way too many of them.
Yeah, there is quite a few. Look, I liked the idea for the first one, and it was a little bit different because you had the parkour and it was a bit sandboxy. It was
parkour.
Yeah, it was a little bit different. But the fact that this game has now been going for 10 years. Is it 10 years? It'd be almost 10 years, right?
Yeah, it would have to be. It's 2005, 2006. I think the first one came out.
Yeah, so it's been a long time.
No, 6 or 7.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. They've had a lot of games come out very quickly too. That's another thing.
It's also that Ubisoft has every game they make now is now Assassin's Creed. I mean, the last 2 Far Cry games have the same overworld layout, the same mission structure as Assassin's Creed. So did Watch Dogs.
Didn't you actually get to just use like a wrist weapon as well, like to stab people to death in both of those games?
I'm not. Yeah, it's called a gun.
Yeah.
It's aimed with the wrist, so you're not wrong.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. What?
I do. Games are bad.
The thing is, I really want Assassin's Creed to be good. Every time one's coming out, I watch the trailer for it, and I'm like, okay, cool. I like the period of history that it's been put in. I still don't know why we haven't had ninja assassins in Japan yet. That would have been awesome. Feudal Japan assassins. Why not? Ubisoft, that just kind of makes sense. But you're a pack of idiots and morons, and you
problem with that is, as you make more games with more time periods, the size of the assassin organization starts to become unlikely. Yeah. It's already pretty unlikely.
Well, no, the thing is, it's the same.
Existed simultaneously in Crusades era Middle East and Edo period Japan.
Yeah. Well,
everywhere, all languages, all cultures.
And yet, the funny thing is that they're always on the edge of being absolutely destroyed by the Templars.
Yes, they are perpetually on the brink of extinction.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Except for the ones with Ezio in it, where they were all but extinct, and then he takes the 3 games to build them back up.
Well done, Ezio. You've ruined the world.
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways. You cannot be both a world-spanning organization and constantly under threat of being wiped out.
Yeah, you can't have both things. And then the whole, like, when they take the genetic memories even further, and it's just like, oh yeah, you're in the genetic memories of your Desmond Miles, in the genetic memories of your ancestors, but you're also being talked to by beings of supreme power across generations directly to Desmond Miles, who's trying to stop the world from ending.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you didn't even get that far in the games.
No. Did they kill Desmond off?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. This is what I want them to do. I want them to do a game where it's Desmond's, like, great-grandson in the... What's it called? The Animus? Animus.
The
In
Animus, yeah.
Looking at the genetic memories of Desmond Miles, experiencing the genetic memories of Altair from the first game. Just, like, nest the animi. See how deep we can go.
Well, they did that in the...
You're fucking kidding me.
No, I'm not.
You explored the Animus memories of someone using the Animus?
Yeah.
Oh... Well,
that's you do realize that's Black Flag.
Is that? Oh yeah, Black Flag is like a video game or something. Isn't it?
You are testing a game, which is
Yep.
the Black Flag game,
Yeah.
which was ripped from the memories of Desmond Miles, and they're tweaking things. They changed
That's not quite the same, but yeah.
the Templar are changing the story for the game. But
So
they're
the story of the pirate rejecting the assassins is not even necessarily true. It's
Yeah.
just Templar propaganda.
Yeah,
That's actually more interesting than I gave the series credit for. You know what?
that's why Black Flag's the best game.
Okay, over the course of this conversation, I've become more and more interested in Black Flag.
Well, you've got a copy. You should definitely play it.
Yeah, it's right here. It's right in front of me. It's still shrink wrapped.
It's so far it's been the best Assassin's Creed game. I haven't played Unity. I don't want to play Unity. I might pick it up in like a year's time when they've definitely fixed all the things that should have been wrong with it. It's already been out for 6 or 8 months or whatever. So I assume by the time the next game comes out at the end of the year in October the 23rd, Jesus, they've already got a date for it. That's so ridiculous.
I will say, though, one of the things that I and everyone else decries about Hollywood is the way they only make sequels now. And the same is mostly true of the games industry.
Oh, it's exactly the same.
Except it's true in a different way, though, because we're getting to the point where new intellectual properties are being created, like Watch Dogs and The Order 1886.
But they're just a different kind of sequel.
Yeah, they are a pre-existing game formula with a new title slapped on it.
Well, it's
like they've become risk averse in a different way, where instead of only making sequels to things, they just make the same thing over and over again with a different hat.
Well, it also goes even further, is because it's easier to use an engine that already exists than think of a new one for your new IP.
Yeah, I'm assuming when you say engine, you mean gameplay framework.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about with Watch Dogs, which was built in the same engine as Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Like, it's easier to just use that engine and make the same game and do it all just in the modern era instead of using wrist knives.
Exactly.
Use a mobile phone.
They just made the same game again, but with a mobile phone.
Yeah. It's. I assume it's because it's cheaper, and that's why Hollywood did and has done what it has done for decades.
It's actually not. It's not even really a question of cost, because AAA games have been, in terms of the money that's spent on them, insane for ages now.
Yeah.
They cost way too much money and stand a really piss poor chance of ever making it back. But they're stuck in this spiral of the only way to guarantee getting some of that money back, or hopefully all of it, is to do the most low risk
cookie cutter,
broadest appeal thing possible.
Yeah.
And this is why Bastion, which was made by a team of less than 100 people, and which cost $15, had infinitely more charm and spark and originality to it than 6,000 Ubisoft open world games could ever have.
And what I assume Yucca and Laylee is going to be like as well.
Yeah, Yucca and Laylee is kind of nice. I mean, we haven't actually spoken about this
and
yet,
we should speak about it next time. All we're going to say is that you should go and look up Yucca and Laylee, and if you feel like it, contribute to the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to, since they've already got funded, but if you feel like just throwing money into that pile, I mean, go nuts.
Yeah, they might add some extra stuff in. They've already hit all their stretch goals.
Also, if you like Castlevania, Bloodstained looks pretty damn
Bloodstained, cool. Symphony of the Night?
No, Symphony of the Night is the Castlevania subtitle. I can't actually remember what... I think it's Curse of the Something. Let's just look it up.
Bloodstained...
Ritual of the Night.
Ritual of the Night, there you go.
Bloodstained Ritual of the Night.
Okay. But that's it. That's it for this week, guys.
That is it for Comedy Bruins.
I've been Sean.
I've been Chris, and remain Chris. I will actually say, though, to, again, draw back the curtain a bit, we're on a service called Libsyn that has a monthly bandwidth allowance, which is basically the only restriction on what we can upload. And looking at my calendar here, It looks like our bandwidth is going to reset before the next time we would be scheduled to release a podcast.
So you might put up an older one?
Yeah, so if there's some room left over in this month's allotment, I'll probably put up an older one. Possibly one of the shorter ones where we lost a segment due to recording difficulties.
Yep. And Sean and Epitude.
So if you're listening to this, it's quite likely there'll be a bonus episode up a little bit later.
All right. Take it easy, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Stay frasty. Can I do that? Can I say stay frasty? I think I'm going to do that. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Comedy Bronze. But if you were offended by Sean's flagrant racism, or if you just have a question you want to ask us, why don't you send an email to thirdplacejoke@gmail.com. That's kind of a crap way to end. Stay frasty.